What's up, everybody? Michael Silva here. Today's video is going to be answering the question of whether or not this is the start of a new bull trend in gold and the miners. Okay, we've been seeing them take off here these past few weeks, kind of basing out, but really there's been no news covering them because it's kind of being dwarfed over by the crypto space and also the IPO of Coinbase, etc. So, while everyone's attention is over there, I'm trying to take a look at where the next opportunity might be. So we got a lot to talk about. We're going to be talking about the macro picture here and then getting into some technical charts. Now, before we hop into today's show, I want to take a quick moment to thank today's sponsor, which we'll be talking more in depth here very soon. They are a Canadian mining company that trade on the TSX and the OTCQX market. The OTCQX market is the highest quality tier in the OTC markets, and companies that are listed there have to follow certain rules and criteria and are subject to SEC regulations. I'm excited to talk about them here very shortly. Let's get into today's episode. All right, everybody, welcome back to the show. I'm going to start off here looking at the 10-year Treasury constant maturity rates. Now, this is factoring in the cost of inflation. So you can see it's here at minus 0.5, the blue line, okay? Now, this is important because we're going to talk about real rates and then also as well the nominal, which is one thing that I've been tracking significantly on my daily market brief. I also have here in purple or red or whatever, the price of gold. And what I want to call out here is when the yield goes to negative, you can see, or crossing from basically this positive territory and it heads lower, gold sees a big move to the upside. Now, they are moving hand in hand, a very tight correlation with one another. If I was able to inverse this, you can see it a little bit better. But now, right here in 2019, the real rate started heading lower. You can see gold had this parabolic all-time high rise here, and now we're starting to kind of base out and move higher. So the question that should be in everyone's mind is real rates going to press higher, or are they going to remain low or potentially lower? Well, first off, how do real rates actually work? Like, what's in the equation? Well, when I bring up this chart, nominal versus real interest rates versus inflation, this is from longtermtrends.net. I'm looking at the 1-year Treasury yield here. Okay, so let's walk through this. The blue is the real interest rate. That's factoring in inflation. The black line right here is the nominal. Okay, the nominal interest rate for the 1 year, and then the red line is the U.S. inflation rate. And what you can see here is when this ticks up, but yet the black line here, the nominal interest rate stays flat. So we're targeting higher inflation. The higher this goes and this stays remaining, the Fed's not thinking about raising interest rates. That stays here at 0. That forces the real interest rate down lower and lower, which we've already discussed is good for gold. Now, when I looked at this chart, when it bottomed in August, it started moving up. When it topped out here in August, they have a very tight correlation as well. So one would think, okay, if that heads down, that means gold can go up. Or if it goes up, then gold will go down. Well, it's not always just that simple, because if inflation outpaces the nominal yield, you can say here in the early or late 70s, when there was the stagflation environment, you saw the price of gold go parabolic, but you also saw it rise with the 10-year yield. Why is that the case? Well, the case is right here. You can see the blue line, which is the real interest rate going lower, because that the real inflation rate, the U.S. inflation rate, was outpacing the nominal interest rate. You got to think, what would take place in a yield curve control environment, or what happens if we're targeting higher and higher inflation and we keep these low rates, stuck at low? The Fed funds rate stays very low. Well, that to me signifies, okay, that means that this is going to remain low or continue to head lower, which is a good outcome for gold. Now, it's not guaranteed, right? But it does set itself up for a good opportunity to get into gold. Another thing that I want to call out is obviously the sentiment that's taking place in the market. This is the Hoper Gold Newsletter Sentiment Index, and it is at a low here that it's, for a few years, you can see looking back. So when the herd is looking at, all the growth stocks and the FANG stocks, and all eyes and all attention are on these mega caps, no one's focusing on what potentially could be around the corner for a big opportunity. Now, we're looking at the bullish percent index. This is on the weekly time frame, the BPGDM. Now, I like pulling this up also with BPSPX, BPNDX. I do that, every week on my daily stock market briefs, but you can see the GDX is breaking out of this rising wedge. This is on a nice big increase move from a low reading right around 25. The RSI still has room to go higher. It's at 51.23, so it's back above 50, which is a good sign. So this could be the early sign of a breakout here in the miners. And, if you want to play a gold play, miners are typically the way to do it to get, it's more risk, but more return versus just the overall metal. Now, when I look at gold, gold is breaking out of this falling wedge, which is a bullish sign, but it really needs to build out some more of a base out here or get back above 1800 and 1850 because we're still below that 200-day moving average. So there's always the possibility for it to bounce around more. It's not necessarily going to go vertical right here, but based off the things that we've looked at so far, it could be a very good starting point to start accumulating positions. Monthly time frame right here, you look at a big cup and handle, even this 3-bar pattern could be a reversal type looking setup where you have a big red bar, kind of a hammer candle here, and then you have a big green bar following, but the month is still not over. We have a lot of time. The price percent oscillator did cross over to bearish. That's not the greatest look. Now, like I said, a lot of the opportunity is going to come in the miners where you can see some very large gains, not just the GDX, but also the junior miners. So I like to look at these to get a good grasp as to what might be taking place before I get into individual stocks. And if you measure a move from down here at 16 to the top here with a fib level, it did do a full measure move down to that 50% retracement level, and it started bouncing from that area. Now we're back above this area. So it's going to be interesting to see how this one plays out moving forward. GDXJ, which is junior miners, these are going to be very important to keep an eye on. The junior miners, you can see some very large percentage point gains in individual names, and we have this big bull flag or rising or falling wedge here, and it looks like it's about to start breaking out with the price percent oscillator crossing over. A full measure move of a breakout like this can take this, for a 90% gain, which means that individual stocks, junior miners, exploration companies, you can see some really big moves. So to answer the question at the very beginning of the show, is this the start of a new bull trend? I do believe that this is the start of a bull trend. It would be the early stages, which means it's not like you're just going to hop in, there's going to be parabolic moves. It could happen, but it does seem like the early stages of just a very good risk to reward type trade going on here. Now it's time to discuss today's sponsor, ARIS Gold. ARIS Gold is a Canadian mining company. They do trade on the TSX and the OTCQX market with their ticker symbols right here, as you can see. They have a very unique lineup of management. They have astounding mine expansion and strategic partnerships as well. The objective for ARIS Gold is to develop into the planet's next global gold producer, with management having successfully created Endeavour Mining, Leah Gold, and members of the board having successfully created Wheaton River Minerals, Gold Corp, and Yamana Gold. So some very big names. So, the management team is very, very impressive, and that's important to look at when you're looking at these individual companies, because these exploration companies, mining companies, these junior miners, they are very, very risky, but they do have potential high reward. So it's very important to look at the team that's leading this company forward. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the management here at ARIS Gold. And starting off, this is the CEO, Neil. He is the founder and CEO of both Leah Gold Mining and Endeavour Mining, some big names right there. And in 1988, Mr. Woodire was the founder of Endeavour Financial, a successful mining merchant, banking, and advisory business. In 2009, Neil and the billionaire Frank Gaiusta, I believe pronouncing his name correctly, devised Endeavour's growth strategy, and as CEO, he led Endeavour Financial's transition from a financial company into a mine operation and development company, Endeavour Mining. Now, over time, Endeavour Mining grew through a series of acquisitions and new mine builds to become one of the largest gold producers in West Africa. In 2020, early 2020, after he arranged Leah Gold Mining's merger with Equinox Gold, Mr. Woodire, along with other team members, created ARIS Gold to repeat the shareholder value strategies that had previously proven successful at Endeavour Mining and Leah Gold Mining. Now, Mr. Woodire handpicked the management team for ARIS Gold. The technical consultant is Addy Rowe. He was the COO of Equinox Gold following its merger with Leah Gold Mining, where he held the same position. Prior to Leagold, he was the COO of Endeavor Mining Corporation, where he was instrumental in the development and growth of the company over that 7-year period. Now, prior to Endeavor, Mr. Rowe was head of metallurgy for AngloGold Ashanti, one of the largest and most successful gold companies ever, where he worked for more than 34 years. Robert Eckford is the Vice President, Finance and Chief Financial Officer, involved in incredible mergers and acquisitions, including Barrick Gold, Yamana Gold, and Leagold Mining. Richard Thomas is the Senior Vice President of Technical Services. Prior to ARIS Gold, Mr. Thomas was the SVP of Operations with Leagold Mining until it merged with Equinox Gold. Previously, he was the VP of Operations and EVP of Technical Services for Endeavor Mining, where he was part of the team that established a mid-tier company in West Africa. Prior to that, he held the role of VP of Mining at Anglo Ashanti for the Continental Africa region. So in other words, they have a large track record of success with some big names here, as you can see. Now, rounding out the ARIS Gold team is an independent board of industry leaders. Ian Telfler, he is the former chairman of Goldcorp and former chairman of the World Gold Council. He's one of the most influential businessmen in the Canadian financial community. One of his special awards was Entrepreneur of the Year from Ernst & Young. This is David Garofalo. He is the CEO of the Marshall Precious Metal Funds, as well as the chairman of Great Panther Mining Limited and chairman and CEO of Gold Royalty Corp. He was also the former president and CEO of Goldcorp. Mr. Garofalo was recognized as the Mining Person of the Year by Northern Miner in 2012. Serafino Iacano has over 30 years of experience in the capital markets and public companies and has raised more than $4 billion. He is also the co-founder of Grand Columbia Gold Corp. Peter Marone is the executive chairman of Yamana Gold, which he founded in 2003. Frank Giustra, he was a founder and director of Wheaton River, which became Goldcorp, as well as director of Endeavor Mining from 2013 to 2016. He's also the former CEO of Yorkton Securities. With Leagold Mining, members of the ARIS Gold team took the Canadian $1 billion valuation of Leagold Mining in the merger with Equinox in March 2020 to create a $2 billion mid-tier producer. With Endeavor Mining, they created a $2 billion Canadian dollar company before the management's exit in mid-2016. Now, the board and management are invested in ARIS Gold and own a collective 8.5% of this company. Focusing on two assets in prime locations and mining-friendly jurisdiction, ARIS Gold is modernizing and expanding the historic Marmato mine in Colombia with exploration upside in Canada's Abitibi Greenstone Belt. The Marmato Gold District has been mined since pre-colonial times by the Quimbaya people. The gold resource was so significant that Simon Bolivar, the revolutionary leader who liberated much of South America from Spanish rule, used the gold as collateral with British banks to secure funding for a war of independence for Spain. Now, the current mine on the Zona Baja property has been in operation since 1991. All told, the Marmato mine produced 24,000 ounces of gold in 2020. A major expansion is projected to increase production to an average of 165,000 ounces per year from 2024. Now, the market cap already has a $272 million in funding secured and plan to achieve 700% growth in production by 2024. The Marmato mine expansion should be among the least capital-intensive projects in the gold industry. There's the potential that for ARIS Gold, Marmato project to take the #1 spot on the list, since additional ounces can be added to the mine plan, thereby offering a net cost savings. The chart on the right projects the 2024 all-in sustaining cost curve, suggesting an ultra-low AISC of $880 per ounce of gold. Along with the Marmato mine, ARIS Gold owns the Juby project, an advanced exploration stage gold project located in Ontario, Canada, approximately 15 kilometers west-south of the town of Goganda and 100 kilometers south-southeast of Timmins Gold Camp within the Shining Tree area in the southern part of the Abitibi Greenstone Belt. Gold was first discovered in the Shining Tree area in the 1930s. Today, the Juby project has an excellent access to infrastructure, including a major highway, a power transmission line that passes through the property, and an abundance of water in the region. Moreover, the regional geological setting at Juby is similar to that of Kirkland Lake and Timmins gold camps and is largely underexplored. The property is adjacent to the Tyranite mine, now within Orofinder's Knight Properties, a historic producing mine with significant infrastructure on site. Juby's 2020 mineral resource estimate resulted in 773,000 ounces of indicated mineral resources and 1,488,000 ounces of inferred mineral resources. With those promising results, ARIS Gold is currently preparing a drilling program for execution in 2021. The Juby project offers a conservative valuation at just at about 74 Canadian dollars an ounce on average. Main point to note is that funding partner is world-renowned Wheaton Precious Metals. Notice that the level of inside ownership in this chart, as we said, is 8.5% held by ARIS Gold Board and Management, along with 44.3% of the shares held by premier miner Grand Columbia Gold. Now, due to the investor agreement, Grand Columbia Gold does not plan to sell any of its ARIS Gold shares or warrants without prior approval until at least February 3rd, 2023. So just to recap some main talking points here is that they have just an outstanding management and board of directors team. Their existing mine produces already 25,000 ounces a year, and they have the funding ready to construct expansion plans to reach a total of 200,000 ounces a year, which is a 700% growth in production by 2024. Their exploration project in Canada has immense potential, and the share structure is really good as well. Grand Columbia owning 44% and management owning the other 8.5%. If you want more information on ARIS Gold, there's going to be links to the website in the description below where you can look at their website or their investor deck. Please do your research and understand there is risks involved investing not only in this specific company, but any company. Make sure that you do your research. That's all I got for you on today's episode, everybody. Have a wonderful day.